You are now tuned into Coffee, Tea, and Conversations, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. with Mary Evans and her co-host, Marsha Easley. Get ready for
Coffee, Tea, and Conversations. Yeah. Put some coffee in your cup. Coffee, Tea, and Conversations. Yeah. Put some tea in your cup. Are you ready?
for motivation,
Get ready.
for education,
Are you ready?
for life-changing inspiration,
Get ready.
for Coffee, Tea, and Conversations with Mary Evans and Marsha Easley, bringing you topics every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. to educate, motivate, and inspire, and even make you laugh. Get ready for
Coffee, Tea, and Conversations. Yeah. Put some coffee in your cup. Coffee, Tea, and Conversations. Yeah. Put some tea in your cup. Are you ready?
for motivation,
Get ready.
for education,
Are you ready?
for life-changing inspiration,
Get ready.
for Coffee, Tea, and Conversations with Mary Evans and Marsha Easley. Are you ready?
Hello. I thought we was gonna put that fire up with that music before you brought us in, Lexus. Let's get it. Yes.
That's why the city's so cool. Oh, talk about Pontiac, yeah. So glad to be from this time. Talk about Pontiac.
Yes.
All right. Talk about Pontiac. Yes.
Talking about Pontiac. That music sound good. That's from straight from the Yaktown, Mr. Ronnie McNear. We love that music, Ronnie. Yes. Guys, we want to welcome you to the SOS Show Live with Mary I Inspire Evans and
Marsha Easley.
Marsha
Ooh.
Easley in the house. I'm excited, y'all. Today we have an amazing show. We're going to interview two potential mayors of the city of Pontiac, guys. So I want to first say thank you for sharing your Sunday morning with us. And we are here live every Sunday at 10 a.m. So please like and share. And we're going to bring to the show Mrs. Alexandria Rowley. Hello.
Hey,
Good morning.
good morning. How you ladies doing this morning?
Hey, we here.
Good. We had the jam going. Shout outs to Ronnie McNear. Talk about
Yes,
Pontiac.
we're gonna play a little bit more Ronnie later. I love that song.
And Marsha's representing this morning.
Yes,
There we go.
Pontiac, look,
versus
it's
everybody.
Pontiac versus everybody.
That's right. Guys, if you own and listening, please tell us who you are, where you listening from, and like and share, and we appreciate you. So, Miss Riley, we're going to get right into this interview. I know you're busy on this Sunday morning. The first thing I have for you is we know the mayor position can be very challenging and stressful. What motivated you to run for the position?
That's an amazing question. I joke around and I tell people that I am the child that the village raised. And so since I can remember, I've been involved in one way or another with the city of Pontiac. So I watched my mother, who was a professional dance instructor. She's retired now. And so she danced with Alvin Ailey. She came back home and she started a dance theater and she worked with our children directly in our community centers. And so she provided free classical, ballet, tap, jazz, dance programs for our kids. So growing up as a child, I watched her exhibit that service. My grandmother was very instrumental when the system of government changed in the city of Pontiac, and when Wallace Holland and Charlie Harrison, when we didn't necessarily, based on the community, have the representation because we had a city manager and a city commission. And so when we shifted our level of government from that form of government to strong mayor form of government, my grandmother was very active in women's rights and changing that over and making sure that we had representation. So I watched those examples directly in my household, in my family. And so from the age of 11 years old, I started writing for local newspapers, the Open Press, the Citizens Post, the Michigan Chronicle. And so
Yes.
that journey has taken me to where I am now. And so I've worked within city government. I've previously served as the Chief Development Officer for the city of Pontiac. I brought in over $6 million in outside funding. Grant funding. This isn't tax dollars, but from agencies and from foundations. In addition to that, I currently work within an urban development setting. I'm the Director of Development for Genesee County Land Bank Authority. And I like my job.
Okay.
I love my staff, but it's not home. So, as Marsha has that shirt on, Pontiac versus everybody. It's more than a shirt. It's more than a message. It's a lifestyle. So when you're born and raised in a community such as this, I think some of my colleagues in Genesee County think I'm, a little bit beside myself, because they say, well, you make the money, you don't have the responsibility, you get off work at 5 o'clock. And so why run? And so when I was making the decision, I was looking at the field of candidates that were shaping up. I felt a sense of obligation, a duty to run, to try to make my community better.
So that being said, is sort of a two-part question. So that was your motivation to run, and we know that it's challenging and stressful. Mayors, we know, don't get a lot of sleep. You can be called in the middle of the night, and I just feel like it is something that you have to love. It's not about the money. You have to love the city and love the people. So thank you for that question, Marsha, that answer.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay. I'm also born and raised. I love Pontiac. Everywhere I go, I travel a lot. I'm wearing Michigan. I'm Michigan State. Go Spartans. I represent. I wear my Pontiac. I have so much pride. Even though I live in Waterford right now, I am in the Pontiac School District, because I'm right there at the line. So Pontiac is very near and dear to me. So I was looking back and I was thinking, I don't know how old you are, but you might not remember, but in 1975, Pontiac was an all-American city. And that's because Pontiac had it going on. We had the Silverdome, we had the Lions, we had Boys and Girls Club, we had the best educational system ever. We just was everywhere. Everything you see, we were doing it. Pontiac, we had General Motors, we had all the car companies. We were doing good. So what can we do, or what can you do to get Pontiac back up to its greatness? We were great. We need to bring greatness back.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Marsha, as far as what you said. And that's one thing that I love about our city. You can have somebody that's from Pontiac and they can go anywhere in the world, but that sense of pride and that love for our community just exudes from us. And that's one thing that I love about Pontiac. But I think we're at a critical moment right now. You're absolutely right. We were considered a world-class city. We had the Lions, we had the Pistons, we had the multiple General Motors plants, and someone could come out of high school, get a job, making good money, and be able to provide a great lifestyle for their families and a source of pride in that work. Living in Pontiac, being in Pontiac, and creating that legacy in Pontiac. And where we are now, we've shifted our economics in Pontiac. So now we have industry. We have Williams International. We now have Amazon. We have UWM, and they're great partners. But the issue is, while Pontiac has jobs, Pontiac people are not being connected to those jobs. So I think that it's very important that whoever is elected mayor, whoever is in that seat, when they're driving economic development, that they're driving it with the intention and with the thought of Pontiac people in mind. And what better way to do that than a person that has that experience and has that love and that pride for the city of Pontiac. And the same holds true, Marsha and Mary, about development in the city of Pontiac. I can tell you how many times I've canvassed on the south side and knocked on doors and talked to people. And while M1 Concourse is a beautiful development, there's still some noise issues that when that development went into play, when we gave our tax dollars in support of that development, local tax dollars, schools tax dollars, about $8 million into that development, the consideration, the thought to the resident, the neighborhood impact, the community impact wasn't in mind. So you have on on Sunday mornings, when folks are getting their coffee early in the morning, they're getting awakened by that noise.
Yes.
Because of how that development was set up. And so, I've said many times and very often that we have not to just need to have the heart to serve with our leadership. We have to have the sense and the understanding and the conviction that we are going to prioritize Pontiac people. And that's why I'm running, to prioritize Pontiac people, to respond with resources, and to create and foster, to build an equitable and an inclusive economy for all of us.
Wow. You know what, Marsha, I would like to take a second, and I have a short video showing love and memories of Pontiac.
Go ahead.
Pontiac, Michigan, which gave its name to the brand eliminated by General Motors in 2009, was once home to over 30,000 GM workers. After decades of plant closures, only a handful remain. The Obama administration's auto restructuring gave a death blow to the city when the main assembly plant was shut down and hundreds of acres of former factories were sold off to be dismantled. Wages for new hires were cut in half, benefits were slashed, and all with the approval of the United Auto Workers Union. Now, with GM making record profits, almost all of the remaining auto plants in the city are being leveled.
What happened with the auto plant shutting down was a tragedy to this community, especially Pontiac, where I live. My city is just about gone now, and this was the major staple. I don't know where the people went. I know they're not here, and I know the businesses aren't here anymore, and it's terrible.
When GM left, everything left with it. Everything. Dreams, people, jobs.
That video breaks my heart right there, for real, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to, when he said when GM left, everything left. One thing that didn't leave is some strong, hard-working people that love the city of Pontiac. Can I get some claps, Alexis?
Yes.
Everything has not left.
I'll drink to that.
Thank you so much. All right.
Can I add in on that?
Yes.
Because I think it's important. Our economy was entrenched in the automotive industry. And it wasn't just Pontiac. It was other urban communities.
Yes.
Detroit, Flint. And you watch the devastation, especially, I think Flint was one of the first cities to witness that. And it was put on a national stage with Mike Moore, with that movie that he did about General Motors. And so that also took place, in Pontiac. And so that's why it's critical that we re-engage and we retool our workforce. And when these companies are coming into Pontiac, that we're mandating that when they're getting subsidy, when they're getting tax breaks, that we're mandating that Pontiac people are being employed, are being trained. And beyond that, as they're building, that Pontiac contractors have an opportunity so that they get a piece of the pie within that economic opportunity. And beyond that, in 2008, 2009, when Obama was running for president and when he was first elected, he made a statement and he said, one of the biggest issues for urban communities is supporting and promoting small business in those communities, because they're the vehicle that's going to bring the economy back. And I think that still holds true, particularly in Pontiac. And I'm loving, you've been at the forefront of this movement, Mary. You've been such a Renaissance lady and an entrepreneur.
Thank you.
And it's this culture now in Pontiac. It's hot. It's trendy to be in business and to say, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, and let me hand you my business card. And so we have to support that.
Yes.
And so the city just received $37.7 million, and that's a part of our vision and 10-point plan to support small business through grants, through loans. But one thing that the shift in the automotive industry, and one thing that COVID-19 revealed, is that in communities of color, in urban communities like Pontiac and Flint and Detroit, and with respect to Pontiac, it's huge disparities within our communities that we were impacted more so in a much, much deeper way due to the economic impact, the health impact of COVID-19. We have an incredible opportunity to make a transformational impact in our community, and that's a part of our vision and our plan. But I just wanted to touch on that. I know you got other questions for me. I get a little long-winded, so I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. And we want to give love for some of our listeners who I know they love Pontiac. Miss Bonita Cameron. Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, Queen Mary. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Mrs. Easley, Miss Riley. Be blessed, ladies. Thank you so much. Miss Christy, thank you so much. You guys like, share, and comment, and let us know where are you listening from. So
Yes.
I will move on to my next question. We're not going to keep y'all long. The pastor saying on Sunday, we're not going to keep y'all too long this morning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I believe I want to ask you this. What is, can you tell me, in your opinion, what is one of the most challenging things that you know before you step into office that you will be facing? And what do you think are some of the solutions you have to that problem? Because I've heard you say before, you love serving people and you love bringing solutions to problems. We know, like Pontiac and like every other city have problems. And a lot of times we talk about the problems, but there's never solutions. What is one thing that you see that the prior administration you believe has missed that you want to tackle as soon as possible?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that I'm not a stranger here, and I did run in 2017. I didn't make it, but I didn't give up on my city. I didn't disappear. I was able to, at that time, come together with the current mayor and work with her to provide resources to the city of Pontiac. And so, you know, we're not always as a community going to see eye to eye. We're always not going to be on the same page. But I think one of the biggest issues, we're a week out, just about. I think one of the biggest issues is our community coming together after this election, and also dealing with hope and positive change in our city. I've come in contact with numerous people who are apathetic. They don't believe that government impacts them. They don't believe that change can happen in Pontiac. And so that's when you gotta look in the rearview mirror and say, look, Pontiac can be that all-American comeback city. We've had this before. We can go there and take it to the next level again, but we have to have the vision. And so that's why we presented on behalf of our campaign a new vision for the city of Pontiac, a 10-point comprehensive plan that focuses specifically on issues relative to Pontiac residents, Pontiac neighborhoods, our youth, our seniors. And so in that process, you know, to say hope is not dead, positive change is on the way. And that's why I'm running. And at the end of the day, we're Pontiac. You know, my grandmother used to talk about this all the time. She said, you know, back in her heyday with the Wallace Hollands and the Charlie Harrison, she said that when an election was over, when all the smoke cleared, when all the dust settled, there was one team. It was that team that Marsha's shirt represents. It was Pontiac. And we came together and we supported whoever it was that was elected. And if you don't care for this person or care for that person, you still cared enough for your community to have that conviction and to move forward in the spirit of unity, in the spirit of community, to make your community better. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges in matching those opportunities with our people. And that's going to be the biggest issue moving forward. But I'm confident, Mary, I'm confident, Marsha, that we can get past that. And it's a new day ahead for the city of Pontiac.
You know what? I really like the way you answered the question, because at the end of the day, whoever gets elected, if we don't come together, then we still are losing. Yes. At the end of the day, come together, whoever that may be, and support them in any way that we can. And, you know, when you talk about coming together, we know that's challenging. And you already are aware of that, and you have solutions to that problems. And I want to say to you is that a lot of times when we're voting, especially if it's a black man, black woman, minority, you know, a lot of people have said, you know what, they just vote for that person just because they're Black. And it's not a color thing, it's how impactful and what are you going to bring to the city and how serious are you. Alexandria, you know, when it comes to minorities, we have never been given a fair chance. And we have a lot of people that believe that a Black person in office is all we need, but it's been proven that's not so. We have some that vote just because you are a Black woman or a Black man. So many times when a person wants to get elected, they have a million promises of all the things that they're going to do. And at the end of the run, they haven't even did half of those things. And I know when you speak and you give the city the promises, how dedicated are you to stand to your word and every promise that you will be making to the people?
I think it's about my track record. I'm 35. Marsha said that she didn't know how old I was. I'm 35, and since I was 11 years old, I've been actively involved, and I've been consistent in doing that. I went away to school, studied policy at Stanford, Yale, political science and business at the University of Michigan. I came back home. I invested in Pontiac. I purchased my home on Ottawa Drive. I started my businesses. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I'm a licensed residential builder. And I'm also, and this is particularly important since I am running for mayor, I am an ICMA certified city manager. So I understand policy. I understand legislation. I understand appropriations. I understand fiscal government. I'm the only candidate in this race that has any executive municipal experience. I work as a director on a county level. So I have the experience in urban development. That's the type of experience that we need planning and moving our city forward. And beyond that, I am a Black woman, but I'm also a mixed race woman. And so I understand the issues that have challenged us in our community. And we have to move past that. We got to be able to respect and embrace one another. The issue is not Black and white. And we have a multicultural community. We have Hispanics, we have Bangladesh, we have Asian, we have those populations in Pontiac. We are a proud and a diverse community. And we have to bring back those cultural differences that allow us to come together once we celebrate them in the right way. You know, Marsha was talking about in the past what we had. We had the African American Festival. We had the Hispanic Heritage Festival. And that's what this election should be about us coming together, about us leveraging our resources, and about us being able, we're not always going to see eye to eye, but being able to work together in the spirit of community and unity.
Thank you. We have to get a couple of these comments up. Miss Bonita Cameron, being that Pontiac has lost much, how do we get revenue from the major businesses that we now have here in Pontiac? How does a community like Pontiac regain our economic? There you go.
I think we missed out on a lot of opportunities, and that is, we have this idea that elected leadership is about being visible, showing up at a party or a retirement event or community event. Yes. I believe firmly that elected leadership, especially on the legislative side, is about getting results. And so when you have county commissioners, when you have state representatives, when you have Congress people and senators, it's about bringing resources back. When you talk about representing Pontiac and you control the purse, it's about making sure that Pontiac is getting its fair share. So for one example, and thank you, Ms. B, for that question. And she's been phenomenal, in working with our community and making sure that public safety is at the forefront, and also making sure that we have a plan to reduce crime and community shootings, violence, senseless violence in our city. But when you talk about economics and bringing industry into the city, we have to make sure that it's being translated to our residents and to our people and directly into our city, because you need that revenue for city services. When you're fixing the roads, when you're providing public safety, when you're cleaning up our parks. So it's a twofold approach, making sure that we're getting our fair share of resources from our funding opportunities, and also when industry moves into the city, making sure that we're matching those opportunities with our residents. And so that's what, as the next mayor of the city of Pontiac, that's what I pledge to do, and keep a keen eye in moving forward with the city for that.
Okay. Tanya Wallace, why are the vaccines so important? It hurts the Black community.
Well, I think we've been impacted, like I stated. We've been impacted more so than any other community and any other culture, as far as the Black community, when it comes to COVID-19. We've lost a lot of people. I know friends in Pontiac that have passed on because of COVID-19. I know that there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of distrust. Because of what has happened in the past to the Black community when it came to vaccines across our country. And so, I will say this much: I'm a vaccinated woman. I was torn because I heard it from both sides, but I said my prayers. I'm also a faith-filled woman, so I said my prayers. I trusted the medical community. I trusted our government leaders, and I think that as far as that's a personal decision, that's a medical decision, but I've been encouraging people to get vaccinated and to wear your mask and to, try to stay safe in the best way possible. And I think that's what we have to do moving forward, because there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear, and it has impacted us in a way that it hasn't impacted any other community.
Okay, good. Tanya Wallace, we need more info on voting. We need to be voting less. People in the Black community need to know to vote. How do you feel about that?
I agree. When you look at Pontiac, you got 45,000 registered voters in the city. And in the mayoral primary, you had about 6,000 people that showed up to vote.
Wow.
We can do better.
Yes, and we will.
It goes back to that apathy. It goes back to that sense of a loss of hope. Government does impact us, and if represented in the right way, going back to that same issue of pride, Pontiac has exceptional talent. We have, and I'm proud to be endorsed and supported by Pontiac's own Super Bowl champions, Olympic gold medalists, and an array of educators and scholars and talented individuals. Martell Taylor, who he's all over Amazon Prime right now with his film. We have talent in the city of Pontiac. We have access to resources. We just need the right leadership that will represent us and represent our interests moving forward.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take a few more, and I'm going to let Marsha get another question, but I want to put up the questions from the audience. Whenever you interviewing, it can get real long and very interesting. We try to keep it short and interesting, but hit them hard. So I see a question from Mary Patella. We'll go with that question next.
Yes.
Miss Mary, thanks for tuning in and watching. Miss Riley, what are your plans for upcoming contracts with Wade, Trim, law enforcement, and fire, as they are all expiring?
That question comes from Councilwoman Petula. Thank you for that question. And that is a hot topic in the city of Pontiac. When we're talking about the history of the city and before we had our own in-source departments. And so our building and safety, our DPW, our fire, our police was all in-house in Pontiac. And so when we went through emergency management, we lost those services, or we privatized those services to outside departments, agencies, and companies such as Wade Trim, Oakland County Sheriff, along with Waterford Regional Fire. And so I've been very, very direct in answering this question throughout the course of the campaign. And that is, I'm biased. I want, if I could say it's I'm like Marsha over there, Pontiac versus everybody. If we can have our own, I want it, but not at the expense. Let me be very clear on that. Not at the expense of our public safety, and with the future of Pontiac in mind as well from a financial standpoint. So if Oakland County Sheriff can continue to deliver a higher quality, service of public safety, lower response time. Same thing with Waterford Regional Fire, a lower response time, and we're increasing public safety, and our costs are not increasing to try to bring that back in-house. I would support that. There used to be a sense of pride in saying, I see my brother driving a patrol car, my uncle's there and responding to a fire, and he's driving the fire unit down the street. I get that. And I think that even if we are contracting with Waterford Regional, Oakland County, there still needs to be opportunity for our young people and our professionals to be able to be employed and to also serve us in a public way. And so I think it's critical that we do an analysis and that we have both a short-term and a long-term plan, and saying that if we want to bring something back in-house, if it makes sense to bring it back in-house, that we're doing an assessment to find out exactly what that will cost us, what opportunities are there, so that the weight of bringing that back is not completely on us. What grants can we go after? What agency support from the federal level? What demographic and census count standards can we use to leverage to bring resources so that we can bring that back in-house if it makes sense? So I think that, again, I thank Councilwoman Petula for that question. It's a hot topic in the city of Pontiac, and I know that the city has been somewhat divided on that, but I think the most important thing is making sure that we're unified in our thought and saying that public safety should be the number one issue, not whose name is on the fire truck or the police car.
All right. I want to thank you for that question, and I wish we had more time, but we want to give Tim the same opportunity and respect as we gave you. This was an amazing show. I look forward to having you back on the show again, but as you talk and bringing in the questions, we sort of lose time. But this was a great show, and we want to thank you for your time.
Yes.
And who is our next end of candidate? Marsha Easley, who we bringing in?
We're bringing in Mr. Tim Greimel.
And I'm just y'all.
The city's so cool. Oh, talk about Pontiac, yeah. So glad to be from this time. Talk about Pontiac.
We talking about Pontiac.
Yes. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Mary, Marsha. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I love that Ronnie McNear tune. Marsha, I love your Pontiac versus everybody shirt. I appreciate you representing, and it's really great to be on the show with you this morning.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm just going to be a little transparent in the beginning of the show. When I asked Alexandra, which that's my girl, I'm for Alexandra, love for everyone, Marsha Easley, she was like, wait a minute, what about Tim? You know, and you know what? Much love to everybody, whoever win, we support. But I just wanted to let you know, Marsha was like, no, we have to bring them both on. But I've seen you, Tim, but just didn't know you personally. No bad feelings, no harsh. I don't know anything good or bad. We know some of this gossip we see, but we don't even pay attention to that because I want to know you. So, Marsha, I'll let you start off with your guy.
Hey, how you doing?
Great, Marsha. Good to be here with you.
And I'm just saying, I just have history with Tim. I just don't know Alexandria, so I have history with him, so I know what he's about. And I wish both candidates luck. Yes. And I'm just glad to have both of them so we can hear, and everybody in Pontiac who don't know anything about them can learn a little bit more about what they stand for, what they're trying to do, what their hopes are for our city, because our city is sad. When the Silverdome went down, I shed a tear. I really did. It's just things that we have that aren't there anymore, and we are lacking. So one of the things that are lacking, and I'm going to ask you, Tim, is I'm just really into the kids and the youth and the schools. And I notice the school system has just declined. We used to have the best schools, the best teachers, the whole, I loved growing up in Pontiac. It was awesome. I loved going to school. I had perfect attendance forever. I look forward to going to school now. Most of the time we don't have the enforcement to make sure the kids are there, that they are getting the resources that they need. We are so behind in our resources. I'm going to try to make this a little short, but close
Please
to my
do,
heart.
Marsha, because we have 20 minutes.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Close to my heart is the special needs community. And we have a very large special needs community in Pontiac. What can we do to make them more inclusive? What can we do to get our kids the better resources like our surrounding communities have?
Well, this issue hits on my number one priority, which is standing up a real youth recreation and youth enrichment program. As you touched on, Marsha, we used to have 4 rec centers. We used to have the Holland Center and the Hayes Jones Center and the Howard Dell Center and the Ewald Center. We used to have a couple of boys and girls clubs. And as we sit here today, we unfortunately have none of that. And that's particularly disappointing because 3 years ago, the residents of our city voted to pass a youth recreation millage. And that millage is generating almost $1 million a year in revenue for the city, specifically for youth recreation. And so in the past 3 years, the city's collected almost $3 million, and yet we have nothing to show for it. We don't have a single permanent youth rec center. And our young people deserve better. We've got to do better by them. We need to invest in Pontiac's future, and our future is our young people. And so if we're serious about investing in our city's future, it starts with investing in our young people.
Yes.
And when I talk about youth recreation, I mean more than just sports and athletics, although those are important. And in fact, I went to a Pontiac Panthers game yesterday and introduced the team at halftime. And so the Pontiac Panthers have been a hugely positive force in the absence of a city youth rec program. But we need more than just sports and athletics, and we need more sport and athletic programs, but we also need art and music for our young people. We need after-school tutoring. We need computer coding and programming classes. We've got to give our young people every opportunity to live up to their full potential in life. And we can do that in partnership with local schools, in partnership with the faith community. Maybe the city can only afford to own and operate 1 or 2 youth rec centers, but in partnership with schools and churches, we can have many other satellite locations so that these are in close proximity to neighborhoods within walking distance of our young people. We also need to make sure that we have a dedicated shuttle bus service to make sure that young people can get to youth recreation and youth enrichment services. The city has the ability to dedicate $300,000 or $400,000 a year in SMART money, community dollars from SMART and from the state to specific transit programs. And yet the city hasn't taken advantage of that opportunity. And so we have an opportunity to dedicate those dollars to transportation for seniors, for transportation for our young people to get to rec centers. And that's particularly important, especially as you bring up for students, young people with special needs. And when it comes to standing up these youth rec and youth enrichment programs, we need to make sure that we're doing so in an inclusive way that's accessible to everybody, no matter what their needs as individual children are. That's critically important. And more broadly, the school district is not controlled by the mayor or the city government, but we need to partner with the school system to improve educational outcomes. And we have an opportunity to do that around early childhood education, pre-kindergarten, quality education to give our young people a meaningful head start so that they can hit the ground running in kindergarten. We have an opportunity to do that around adult education. We have a lot of folks who maybe didn't graduate from high school, but want to go back and finish their degree or get their GED. And then perhaps most importantly, we have an opportunity to do that around skilled trades training and apprenticeship programs. And that really needs to start in high school. And we can do that in partnership between the city and the school district, Oakland Community College, local businesses, labor unions. We need to make sure that all of our young people have pathways to good paying jobs. And not everybody is going to go to college, but there are other pathways to good paying jobs. And that starts with skilled trades training and apprenticeship programs. And that needs to start early in life in high school.
Okay. Thank you for that, Tim. We want to go to a couple of the comments from the audience, and we want to thank you again for being here. Please like and share. Jerry Allen, I see, has a question. Good morning, Jerry. Thanks for watching the show. Do you plan on handling the day-to-day concerns for Pontiac, or do you plan to hire someone else to handle this?
Well, we have a strong mayor form of government, and so certainly the buck stops with the mayor ultimately. But I think it's important that we have somebody who has background in running the day-to-day operations of the city, some experience as a city administrator. We've been looking at a number of folks who have that skill set, who have that expertise and background. Diversity is key. We need to make sure that our administration looks like the city of Pontiac, and we need Pontiac residents in very high-ranking positions in the city administration in terms of directors of departments and other positions. And unfortunately, we haven't really seen that in recent years. So that diversity, that representation of a broad grouping of Pontiac residents at City Hall is key. But we also have to make sure that those folks have the expertise and the experience to make sure that we're adequately serving residents and improving city services and day-to-day quality of life for residents.
Okay, thank you for that. Tim, we know that we know that the position being a mayor can be challenging and stressful. Part one, I want to ask, what motivated you to want to take up on those responsibilities? And in your opinion, what are some qualifying qualities of a good mayor?
Yes, well, this really cuts to the core of my values. We have amazing residents here in Pontiac, as you know, people who care deeply about one another, about their neighborhoods, about the future of the community. But generally, they have not been well served by city government. And we see that in the fact that the parks aren't being properly maintained, the roads are crumbling. 3 years into the youth rec millage, we still don't have a youth recreation program. We see it in the fact that as investment has come to our community with Amazon and United Wholesale Mortgage, not nearly enough Pontiac residents have been getting hired. And so in short, we deserve better from City Hall. And that is why I decided to run. I'm very proud of my track record representing Pontiac for 5 years as a county commissioner and for 7 years as a state representative. I was able to deliver important results for our community. I led the charge to establish a microloan program to make sure that our local small businesses could get access to the loans they needed to start up and grow and succeed. I established a dental discount program to make sure that families, especially low-income families, could get access to affordable dental care. As a state representative in Lansing, I led the charge in the State House to expand Medicaid coverage, to provide health insurance to 700,000 Michigan families who lacked health insurance before, including many thousands here in Pontiac. I also secured state funding for a job training program right here in the city of Pontiac through OLSA. And I renewed millions of dollars in funding for school-based health centers, including at Pontiac High, Pontiac Middle School, and Walt Whitman Elementary School, to make sure that our young people could get access to the physical health services and the behavioral and mental health services that they need. But I also recognize that no matter how many resources we brought here from other levels of government, we would never see a truly sustained improvement in people's quality of life here in the city. We would never see expanded economic opportunity in the long term for Pontiac's residents unless we fix city governance. And one of the biggest challenges we face is the division and the bickering between the mayor and city council. And we need a mayor who will collaborate with city council as true and equal partners. And I have a proven track record of doing that, finding common ground and delivering results. I did it as a county commissioner. I did it as a state representative, working with other elected officials, building consensus, finding common ground with people from different walks of life and diverse backgrounds. And that's what we need in order to actually have city council and the mayor working together in the best interest of residents to move our community forward. The other thing I would say is that my connections at the federal, state, and county levels position me well to bring resources here from those levels of government so that finally, Pontiac will get its fair share.
How long have you been a city resident of Pontiac?
A little over a year. Represented Pontiac for 12 years. Love our city, very proud to call Pontiac home. And been involved in the community now for 15 or more years. It's really important that we bring our community together and move forward in the best interest of residents to improve quality of life. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to do that.
Okay, thank you. We need to go to the questions, so they're going to beat us up. We said Q&A. Hello, Miss Bonita is back. Does Mr. Greimel have insight for help for long-time homeowners to help maintain their homes to prevent them from becoming homeless due to the despair, no grants or funds to help them remain in their homes after 39 years of being residents?
Yes. Well, this is a really important question because as I go door to door throughout the community, I talk with many residents, especially seniors, but residents of all ages who are eager to maintain their homes, who want to make improvements to their homes, but oftentimes can't afford to do so. And as we improve the housing stock in our community, a key component to that is connecting our residents with the resources they need to actually invest in their homes. And key to that is bringing back in-house here to Pontiac the Community Development Block Grant Program. The emergency manager sent that out to the county years ago. I fought against that at the time as a county commissioner, just as I fought against so many of the emergency manager's decisions, the sale of the Silverdome, the sale of other city assets. I was in the trenches with community activists, with Reverend Jesse Jackson, with people here locally like Quincy, to make sure Quincy Stewart, to make sure that we were fighting against these terrible short-sighted decisions of the emergency managers. And we need, now that we're through emergency management, we need to start restoring some of these programs that have been outsourced or sent out to the county. And the first and foremost among those has got to be community development block grants, bringing that back in-house so that we have those resources available for our local residents to make improvements to their homes.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. We're going to keep with the questions with the audience. I just think that's important to get those in. Bonita, again, how do people with disabilities get assistance for home repairs if they have no access to internet, mental health assessment, or aid that will expedite services for people with disabilities or are low income?
Yeah. This is a big challenge in terms of getting the word out to residents. Often times folks who don't have internet access, they may not watch city council meetings. They may not be plugged into a variety of city or county or state programs. And we need to do a better job at the city government level of getting the word out to people. And that means relying on more and engaging more communication tools than just the internet or just city council meetings or just cable. We need to do more door-to-door work, going door-to-door, leaving flyers at doors, and making sure that we're utilizing every possible communication method. I'm a big believer that I, as the mayor, will have an obligation to have regular community open house coffee hours where anybody can come without an appointment to sit down and talk about issues with me. I did that as a state representative. I did it as a county commissioner. And so once or twice a month, we're going to have those open door sessions where anybody can come and meet with me. And we need to get the word out about that as well, so that people know that if they have a question, they can come to these monthly gatherings and talk directly with me about it. More broadly, we need to make sure that people have better access to City Hall. One of my pet peeves is that when people call City Hall, it's almost impossible to talk with a real live human being. People leave voicemails for departments and never get calls back. We've got to make sure that we have more of a customer service, resident service approach at City Hall, so that when people call, they can talk to a live human being, be directed as to where they need to talk with in terms of departments to get their need addressed or their question answered, and make sure that city employees are returning those calls. And all of that together is critical if we're going to connect our local residents with the services and resources they need.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We have one from Jerry Allen. Do you, if not elected, will you continue to reside in Pontiac?
Absolutely. You know, I love our community. I believe in the future of Pontiac, and I believe in our residents. We have amazing people, like I said before. I believe that Pontiac is on the rise, but in order to sustain that momentum, in order to improve quality of life for everybody and expand economic opportunity, we need to make sure that we have a mayor and city council that are working together. But regardless of the outcome of the election, I'm going to continue to stay involved in Pontiac just as I have for 15 years. And I'm going to continue to live here in Pontiac because I love our community and I believe in the future of Pontiac.
Thank you. We'll take one more question and then we'll have Marsha come in. Jerry Allen, do you feel like you handled the Bob Wine situation appropriately, in your opinion?
Yeah, I do. I was the first candidate to come out and denounce his racist and classist email. I immediately said that this is unacceptable, that this is beyond the pale, that there is absolutely no defense for that kind of email. And more importantly, there's no defense for the underlying attitude that his email represented. And Bob Wan had actually agreed to be on the host committee, I should say, of a fundraiser that I had scheduled. And I immediately canceled that fundraiser because I don't want to associate myself with people who have that kind of demeaning and derogatory attitude towards Pontiac's residents. And I lead with my values, not with my wallet, not with my campaign finance fundraising committee. So I am always going to lead with my principles and my values and stand for a united Pontiac, an inclusive Pontiac, a Pontiac that welcomes everybody and where everybody has the dignity and respect that they deserve.
Awesome. Marsha, we're going to let you get one more question in because, we block an hour and then go off. And then I like to bring both of the candidates in and thank them for being here. We have more questions, but I think it was more important to get questions from our listeners than our questions are important too. But it's all about the people in the city being able to get their questions answered. So, Marsha, do you have one more you would like with Tim? And I want to bring Marsha in and bring them on together.
Yeah, both candidates have been really good in knocking stuff off of my list, so I didn't have that many questions left. But I did want to address just for a minute with you the fire and police, because we don't. I don't feel safe in Pontiac sometimes. It's some parts of town you go and you just don't feel safe. You don't want to go out at night. Downtown is getting a little better, but it's still a little scary. And one good thing we have with the Oakland County Sheriff Department is that we have Pontiac natives in really big positions there. Nice. So what can we do to make sure we work with them and make sure we still we still have those people in our community with us, because they are what we were used to when we were growing up. They were in the neighborhoods. Yes. We knew them. They knew us. If it was some kind of confrontation going on, they didn't take everybody. They talked to you because they knew your mom and your grandmama. They knew everybody. So what can we do to make sure we can get more police presence in Pontiac? I think that would help with a lot of things that are going on.
Yep. Public safety is an enormously important priority, and we've had far too much gun violence in the community. We need to come at that challenge from a variety of different angles. Certainly having sufficient and adequate numbers of law enforcement officers on the street is important, but we also need to make sure that law enforcement is policing the community in the right way, through community policing, through collaborations with local residents and local civic organizations and the faith community. And part of that is making sure that more Pontiac residents, more folks who came up right here in Pontiac are hired in to the law enforcement department. In an ideal world, I'd like to see our police department and our fire department come back in-house. And I've committed to doing a real assessment of whether that's possible. And obviously the two overriding factors have to be affordability, how much will it cost, and how will it affect response times, because everybody wants to make sure that when people pick up the phone and they call 911, that ambulances and fire trucks and police cars get there in a reasonable amount of time and are there when people need them. But we're going to do that assessment. And I don't think that assessment has been done since the emergency manager left. I'm not even sure the emergency manager ever did that assessment. But we're going to do that assessment. We have a responsibility and obligation to do that, to make sure that we're utilizing the right law enforcement agency and that we're doing that in the best interest of residents. But there are other components to making sure we reduce violence and improve public safety. We need to make sure that we're expanding economic opportunity. And that goes back to making sure that we connect more Pontiac residents with jobs as they come to Pontiac. I believe that anytime we use city tax breaks to bring investment here, we need to require, as a condition of those tax breaks, that those companies hire a certain percentage of their residents from Pontiac, or else they'll lose those tax breaks. We need to make sure that we stand up a real youth recreation program, like I said earlier, to make sure that we're investing in our young people and expanding opportunity for them. But we also have to nip conflict in the bud before it spirals out of control and becomes violent. So that means connecting families who may have conflict at home with family services and family counseling. It means connecting residents with mental health services when they need it. And this is really about investing in Pontiac's people. A city, a community isn't about the geographic boundaries. It isn't about the buildings or the streets. It's about the people. And we need to make sure that we're investing in Pontiac's people. And I should add that includes our seniors. You know, we have amazing senior organizations here in town with the Golden Opportunity Club and La Amistad Seniors, but they're operating out of buildings that have barely changed in 50 or more years.
For interrupting you, but the Pontiac Meals on Wheels ran by my mother over 25 years.
That's right. And I was going to get to that. I was going to say that our amazing...
You moving too slow for me, Tim, being on my platform.
We have these amazing Pontiac senior organizations. They're operating out of buildings that haven't been modified really in 50 years or more. We also have great support services for them in the form of Meals on Wheels. And that's an amazing program, and we need to make sure that we're investing more in that and expanding that program. But the one thing I would say is our surrounding communities have state-of-the-art senior centers, and our seniors deserve every bit as great of senior centers as those seniors in surrounding communities. And we need to make it happen. We need to invest in our seniors.
All right, we're going to wrap up. We're going to bring Alexandria in. We're going to have 3 minutes, and I want to bring you guys in together side by side, because at the end of the day, it's all about love for Pontiac at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you guys are, you love Pontiac so much, and you're so mature, whether whoever win, we come together and we help push the city forward. Yes. We have 1 minute of really 40 seconds apiece. I want to ask one last question to each person. Alexander, if you could tell the people one thing about you that they might not know, what would that be you would love for them to know about you?
What they do not know.
Yes.
Well, I would hope that they know this, but I'm going to take an opportunity to share this.
Okay.
I will never sell our city out, and I will never give up on the city of Pontiac. I believe in our greatness. I believe in the promise of Pontiac, and I am ready, I am willing, and I am able to lead our community into the future and make our community better, prioritizing Pontiac people. That is my pledge.
All right. I want to hear from you. What is something you would like the people to know that they might not know about you?
Well, I think most people do know this, but, I spent many, many years in the trenches fighting against emergency management, fighting against the selling off of our city assets. I did it as a county commissioner. I did it as a state representative. I participated in local protests here and marches. That included a protest where Reverend Jesse Jackson came to town. I participated in protests across the state. As a county commissioner, I went up to Lansing and testified in committee against the emergency management law. I also recruited plaintiffs from Pontiac residents.
In case we lose you, Tim, I want to thank everybody. Hold on, Tim. In case we lose you, because sometimes they'll cut us off in a minute. Okay. I want to thank everybody for listening and for you guys being here, but I want you to continue.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mary, and it's a pleasure to be here. But I recruited Pontiac residents to be plaintiffs in a lawsuit against the emergency management law. So I've been in the trenches. I've been active against it. I will never allow Pontiac to be dismantled or dismembered or sold off. And I have a proven track record of fighting against those policies to prove it. So I'm here for the long haul. I believe in Pontiac, and I will fight to my last breath to make sure that we protect Pontiac, that we protect our remaining assets, and that we invest in Pontiac's people. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Our time is up. We're going to go out with Ronnie McNear, Pontiac. Get out there and vote. Let's vote.
Let's vote.
Let's vote. On the count of 1, 2, 3, let's say Pontiac together. 1, 2, 3. Pontiac.
That's why the city's so cool. Oh, talk about Pontiac, yeah. So glad to be from this time. Talk about Pontiac.
I know they gon' remember me, 'cause I'm gon' leave a legacy.